The wind never stopped. It only changed direction. A man who should have kept riding didn't. A woman who should have died didn't. And somewhere behind them, someone noticed. Kai rode with a new urgency, his posture unchanged, but his intent unmistakable. The horse beneath him moved faster now, its hooves striking the ground with a rhythm that no longer belonged to routine survival, but to something sharper, more immediate. Dust rose behind them in loose spirals, briefly marking their path before the wind swallowed it whole. Leah's body leaned against him, her weight uneven and fragile, as if she might slip away at any moment. Her breathing came in shallow, broken patterns, faint but persistent. It was the only sign that she was still holding on. Kai tightened his arm around her slightly, securing her against the movement of the horse. He did not look down. His attention remained fixed outward, scanning the land in front of him and the invisible spaces that stretched beyond it. His eyes moved constantly, measuring distance, searching for patterns, listening not just to sound, but to the absence of it. Out here, silence was never empty. It concealed more than it revealed. At first, the sound blended into the wind. It was subtle enough to be dismissed, but Kai did not dismiss anything. He slowed the horse just enough to listen more closely, his body remaining steady while his senses sharpened. The sound separated itself from the background, forming a pattern that repeated with intention. Hoofbeats, faint, distant, but real. He did not turn immediately. Instead, he counted the rhythm, spacing each impact in his mind, measuring distance through sound alone. There were at least 3 riders, possibly more. They were moving fast, and they were not wandering. They were following. Kai exhaled slowly, the breath controlled and deliberate. There was no panic in it, no visible reaction beyond the quiet acceptance of a fact he could not ignore. He adjusted the reins and shifted direction slightly, guiding the horse toward Behind him, the sound of hoofbeats grew clearer, more defined. The riders were not attempting to conceal themselves. That alone was enough to confirm their confidence. They were not afraid of being seen, which meant they did not believe they could be avoided. Kai allowed himself a brief glance over his shoulder. The movement was quick, precise, giving him only what he needed. 3 riders, dark silhouettes cutting through the haze of dust, their pace steady, their direction unwavering. They were locked onto him. He turned forward again without hesitation. The decision had already been made. He leaned forward slightly and spoke under his breath, his voice low and steady. The horse responded immediately, pushing harder despite its growing fatigue. Leah shifted faintly in his arms, and a small sound escaped her lips, barely more than air passing through. Kai registered it but did not react outwardly. Not yet. The rock formation ahead grew closer, its edges sharp and uneven, forming a narrow passage that cut through the land like a wound. It was a risk, but every direction now carried risk. As they approached, Kai slowed slightly, his attention drawn downward. Tracks marked the ground. Fresh, recent, and numerous. They did not belong to him, and they did not belong to her. Others had passed through here not long ago. The realization settled quickly. This place was not empty. Behind him, the riders closed the distance further. There was no time to reconsider. Kai guided the horse into the narrow pass, and the world shifted immediately. The wind weakened, its presence replaced by a heavy stillness that pressed in from all sides. Sound behaved differently here. Every movement echoed, stretched, and returned, making distance difficult to judge. The open desert was gone. In its place was something tighter, more controlled, more dangerous. Kai slowed the horse, his movements precise. His eyes moved upward, scanning the ridges above, the uneven rock edges that offered perfect vantage points for anyone waiting. The space felt watched, even when nothing was visible. Leah stirred again, her breath catching as if pulled from somewhere deep inside her. Her lips parted, and a word slipped out, fragile and incomplete. She told him not to. The sound was barely there, but it was enough. Kai paused for a fraction of a second, just long enough for doubt to exist, and then he moved again, faster this time. Behind them, the riders entered the pass, and the sound of their approach multiplied instantly. The echoes made them seem closer than they were, more numerous than they appeared. Kai looked back again, holding the glance just a moment longer. 3 riders, unchanged in number, but no less dangerous. One of them raised a rifle. The shot came quickly, breaking through the stillness with a sharp, violent crack. The bullet struck rock near Kai, sending fragments outward. The horse reacted immediately, its body tensing as it fought against instinct. Kai pulled the reins tight and spoke to it in a low, controlled voice, grounding it before panic could take hold. The animal steadied, though only barely. Another shot followed, closer this time. Kai shifted direction and guided the horse behind a larger rock formation, using it as temporary cover. The movement was fluid and efficient. He dismounted without hesitation and lowered Leah carefully behind the rock, positioning her where she would be shielded from direct line of sight. Her head tilted slightly, her breathing still uneven but present. Kai stepped forward, his hand moving to his weapon. He drew it smoothly, without urgency, without hesitation. The motion was practiced, controlled, and exact. He did not fire immediately. Instead, he listened. He watched. He waited. The riders slowed their advance. Their formation changed as they spread out, one moving left, another to the right, the third maintaining center. They were flanking him, adjusting their approach with calculated precision. This was not a reckless pursuit. They knew how to hunt. Kai stepped just enough into view to draw attention. It was a calculated risk, one that exposed him only for a brief moment. One of the riders moved into his line of sight. The opportunity was narrow, but it was enough. Kai fired a single shot. The rider fell instantly, collapsing from the saddle with no chance to react. The remaining 2 paused, not out of fear, but to reassess. Their movements shifted again, more cautious now, more deliberate. Kai retreated behind cover and turned briefly toward Leah. Her eyes flickered, not fully opening, but no longer completely still. For a moment, he looked at her differently, not as a burden or a mistake, but as something he had yet to understand. Another shot struck near, sending fragments of stone into the air. Dust rose and hung thickly, reducing visibility. Kai lowered his position, using the terrain to his advantage. The riders continued their approach, slow and controlled, their patience marking them as something more dangerous than reckless men. Kai listened again and picked up a new sound. Footsteps. One of them had dismounted and was attempting to close the distance quietly. Kai adjusted his grip on the gun, his breathing slowing as his focus narrowed. Behind him, Leah moved again, stronger this time. A word formed, faint but unmistakable. She spoke his name. Kai froze for a fraction of a second. The realization struck immediately. She should not have known who he was. Another shot cut through the air, forcing him to move. He ducked as the bullet passed overhead. There was no time to process what had just happened, but the thought remained, sharp and unresolved. They were not chasing him. That much was clear now. They had chosen this path, this risk, for a reason, and that reason was her. Kai glanced back once more. Only one rider remained visible. The other had disappeared from sight. That made the situation worse. Unseen meant closer. He shifted his position, moving slightly closer to Leah while keeping himself protected. His voice was low when he spoke, steady despite everything. He told her to stay down. Her eyes opened slightly, unfocused but aware. Fear was there, along with confusion and something deeper that had yet to surface. Outside the pass, the wind began to rise again, pushing dust inward. It drifted slowly at first, then thicker, filling the space with a haze that blurred movement and distorted distance. Through that haze, more shapes began to form. Not just two, not just three. More riders. Farther back, but closing in. Kai's expression hardened. This was no longer a simple chase. This was something organized, something deliberate. Whatever she carried, whatever that mark meant, it was enough to bring them all here. The desert was no longer empty. It was closing in around them. And this time, there would be no easy way out.